Hey guys, welcome to episode number 15 of the Chris and Kadie Show. We've got Kadie Lynn on your right and Boston Chris on your left, bringing you all the news relevant and not this week that happened in the world. And excited to share with you the stories that we've decided to talk about tonight. Some of these are pretty interesting. Some of them are extensions of stories that we've talked about before on the show, kind of an update to certain situations. And first off, though, let me thank HyperX once again for sponsoring the Chris and Kadie Show. Thank you so much. Guys, there will be a link in your description down below where you can buy your gaming peripherals and we will get a commission. Also, make sure you check out Kadie's merch store down there as well and her webpage and stuff. Help her out as well. If you're enjoying the show, support the show any way you can, whether it's financially or just by a share or a like. Either way, we definitely appreciate all of your love. So, Kadie, what have you been up to other than work? It's always lessons and driving, right? So, other than those two things,
Yes.
tell me something that happened to you this week.
Um, I worked today. I went. Okay. I Here we go. I went to see my mom.
Okay,
We went and got our nails did for
nice.
wedding colors and stuff. I already told you that, but I'm telling everybody else because that's the only thing I can think about. Um, and I got to go see my sister.
Nice.
Um,
So, the wedding is coming up very quickly.
oh my God, 2 months from today.
Yeah, crazy. Are you nervous?
That gives me anxiety. There's so much shit stuff that has not been done.
Yeah, no, I know. It's whenever you have a public
Awful.
wedding, it can be nutso. It can be
Yeah.
absolutely nuts. So I'm looking forward to it. Are you guys are you gonna have live
Fine.
music there? You have to have live music there, right?
One of the guests that we had maybe be playing
Okay,
on that day with his band.
nice. That's pretty
Yep.
dope. That'll be a nice feather in his cap for sure.
And you know who's gonna be DJing?
Who's that? Andre?
Uh-huh.
Of course. Let's go. It's gonna be
Yep.
a fun time for sure. Yeah,
It is.
Andre's a great DJ, a good friend as well. Um,
Hmm.
a hell of a rapper too. I miss him making music, but um, let's
Yeah.
let's get into our craziness this week. Now there has been a change to the way we do the game because I was having to do the game every single week, and it was simply unfair. So instead of continuing to let Kadie Lynn stuff the ballot box against me, we are going to go back and forth
Make me
now.
do it.
That's right. Which reminds me, I'm supposed to come up with a special guest for next week, and I haven't even started on that. So I might want to figure somebody out for next week's episode. But anyway, so the way the game works is I'm going to spin our wheel here. Um, I'm going to set it up so you guys can see the wheel out there as well this week. Let me see if I can do that real quick.
Except I can't see the wheel, but you know what?
No, you'll be able
Screw
to see it
Katie.
too. Hold on. Let's
Oh,
do this.
dang,
And
I
then
started being an a-hole too quick. I said,
you
screw
I'm
Katie.
telling you, yes, way too quick to be fair. Okay, so
I'm
we're
just
gonna share
used to the
this.
abuse, okay?
We're gonna go live like that, and then I should be able to do this, and then this, and then I should be able to go up here, and then over here, and then here, and there we go. So we should both. You do not see it. Why don't you see it?
Yeah, I do.
You do see it. You see the
I
wheel
see
right?
your screen.
Do you see the?
No,
You don't see the wheel.
no.
All right, so I have to fix
I
that.
see probably your other screen.
No, I have to figure out why it's showing that instead of what I want you to see. All right, there we
Uh,
go. So do you see the
okay.
wheel now? You see the wheel now, Kadie?
I sure do.
All right, so here we go. I'm going to spin the wheel. This will give us which game Kadie has to play. She is the world's greatest expert. Now the question is what is she the world's greatest expert of? So we are going to change it to topics here, and then we're going to spin it again. And hopefully it'll give us a topic that has not been picked up before. Okay, so we've
Mm,
already done dinosaurs, so I'm going to
yeah.
remove that. And so the next one up is the moon. So Kadie is the world's greatest expert on the moon. And so let's do this and then this.
Can I just do a conspiracy theory about the moon landing?
Hold on. I have to tell everybody out there how the game works first. So, the world's greatest expert game means that Kadie has to give a false lecture about the topic while the other person asks leading questions. So, you have to be the world's greatest expert on the moon, which means you are fixing to give our viewers a false lecture on the moon. So, what do you have, Kadie Lynn?
Hold on. Let me get my sticky note and get effing prepared. Because look, once I start talking, my brain starts rattling off and nothing makes sense. So, so let me write down my key points.
Okay. All right. Key points. Very important, guys. When
Man, I
you're
could just talk about like half of the conspiracies that we have, and it would just.
I mean, when you're the smartest person on any given subject, it is always helpful to have crib notes. Truly. You know?
Well, okay. uh, so as y'all may know, I am an alien. Uno numero. Because, I mean, look how white I am. You can kind of see through my skin. And I look a little funny and I act a little funny. But anyway, um, the aliens, just one species of aliens, me in particular, and the other of my likes, our home used to be the moon, Earth's moon. And then these, we had our houses built. Everything was great. This was back before any of y'all.
Wow.
back back before any of y'all. We were the first species, but that's aliens.
Well,
Okay,
that's
we're
why
on the
you
moon.
know so much about the moon because you were the first species to live there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, see, I made notes. It's tracking. Any,
So
um,
what's the name of your species first of all? Cuz I mean alien is not a species, right?
you made me want to spout out some stupid shit. I can't.
Well, we need to know this in case we have to look this up, you know?
Um, that's one I can't come up with. Dude. I can't. I'm the most ancient. I'm the one. We are the one.
The
We
one.
didn't need a name.
Okay.
One. We are one. Oh,
The
anyway.
species that shall not be named.
So
Okay.
here's the thing. We used to live on the moon. Then, like, we had our, buildings built. We had our, like, we had pyramids, like the ones that we made here. Anyway. Um,
Wow,
so,
that's just drop that like it was nothing. Okay, I'll have to write down a question for that. Go ahead.
and we helped stage the moon landing, as well. But, oh, but anyway, we decided to leave the moon because these damn sinkholes started appearing everywhere. They ended up, I mean, not sinkholes, but like all these craters. What the hell is that about? So all our foundation was breaking. It was just going all to shit, pipes breaking, all that. So, because aliens had pipes.
Did they so first of all, why are you calling yourself aliens? Wouldn't it be we had pipes? But anyway, I digress.
Hey,
So
don't try me.
so you're the expert though. So what you're trying to tell me is the sinkhole or crater or whatever you're calling it. So since you're the expert, you should know what caused these things, right? So what caused the craters?
So
Or as you
people
call
don't
them
know
in your
this.
species, sinkholes.
So anyway, so people so the government knows this and they are not telling anybody. We've had conversations, as aliens, we are very in tie with the U.S. government. Um, anyway, um, and Area 51 is a thing. Regardless, they're keeping this from you, but the moon actually has a heartbeat. So it's like it has like Not mildly like earthquakes, but like from the inside, just randomly, like not as consistent as a heartbeat, but it would have like a pulse. That's a
Okay.
better word. And it would just create these holes on top of the planet, and some of them would be pretty damn deep. Um, and we just couldn't live there no more, so we had to move.
So I have one question that's really been on my mind since I was a kid. And since you
Okay.
say that the moon landing was staged, what I want to know is, so when you stage the moon landing and you put the flag up, you know how the flag just like it's like straight, it just looks like crusty underwear, right? It just like stands up. How did you guys get that effect if it wasn't actually on the moon?
Oh, you mean why does it look like crusty underwear? I'm confused.
Yeah,
What?
why did the American flag look like crusty underwear that was like just stuck like that instead of like waving or whatever? You know what I mean?
Well, in theory, is there wind on the moon?
Well, no, but this is a staged thing. It didn't happen on the moon, Katie,
No,
is what
I
you're
know.
saying.
But they could have just did some shit. They just did some shit with it and made it stay like that.
Hmm.
They just doctored all of it.
Okay, well
We helped
here's
them because we hadn't they hadn't been up there yet. Like the
right,
humans, they hadn't been up there yet, so they didn't know what it was like up there. They didn't know there wasn't wind.
right, which is why
They
you
had a
didn't go
fan
there.
blowing
That's
on
why
it.
you
They
guys
tried to have
staged
a
it, right?
fan blowing on it.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Stupid.
So my question
Stupid.
is, if you are originally from the moon and you were the first aliens to live on the moon, why
Hmm.
would you need to stage that event? Why not just bring actual people up there? Then you wouldn't have to stage it. Seems like a lot of trouble to go to.
We just like fucking with the humans
Oh, okay.
24/7. It's just like little ants, like messing with the ant pile, like y'all do.
So like propaganda then, essentially.
Yeah, it's fun to watch y'all squirm.
Ah, I got you. So crusty underwear propaganda here on the Chris and Kadie Show.
That was some gnarly shit.
There's so many holes in your story. I'm just gonna leave them though.
Stop it. I didn't have time to make enough notes. Look, you know what I put? Alien and home.
Didn't even. What is the name of your species? And you just look like the Aflac duck. I hadn't got that far, Boston.
Why do you think your ass was gonna ask me that? I don't know,
Oh
I'm
my
bullshitting.
god. Well, you started talking, and then you started talking about aliens like they were somebody else when you're the alien. Like,
I
oh
forgot. I forgot about that part. Okay.
my. All right, so our first segment this week is our top five, and the top five has become a lot of fun for both of us, I think, and just to, and I think her top five, my top five are going to differ more than any other top five we've done in the past, because this week's topic is top five cartoons, and we are
Yo.
from different generations. So I imagine our top five are going to be somewhat different. Maybe we might have one or two that are the same, perhaps.
Well, here's my thing. I picked the ones that I love right now that I still watch.
Okay.
I had like childhood favorites, and I thought about doing that, but this is like shit I still watch, shit I love.
I think
So,
I picked the five that I think I have watched the most.
hmm
Um,
same thing.
and so there are others that I have watched more than the five that I ended up choosing, but I feel like those ones weren't as good as these ones. Like for example, I was thinking like Chip and Dale, Ducktales, the one with Baloo, the bear on there.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like those ones I watched the shit out of those ones when I was a kid, but the five that I have, I feel are better cartoons than those. In fact, like I didn't have South Park on my final list, and I feel like that should be one of the top five as well. What was the other one? Family Guy, I think should be top five, but I couldn't fit them on these five. So anyway, you go first this week. What is your number five, Katie?
The guy.
You got Family Guy at number five?
I do. I have probably out of well, it's tied with number one or number two. Um, but Family Guy has so many episodes, you can't be like, I've watched every single episode. I
Right,
mean, you can, but good luck.
right.
Um, my top two are limited, you know. so I've seen all of them. But Family Guy, I feel like I've watched the most. Um, I've loved it forever, for years.
Yeah.
It was the first shit I started watching. The first like adult cartoon when I was like probably 11, 12, something like that.
See, and that's my struggle with this one because, like, some of them, I feel like my list would be different if it was a top 5 cartoons I watched as an adult versus top 5 cartoons I watched as a kid.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I
You
picked
know,
mine now.
I think that would be a completely different list. You know what I mean? Completely
Versus
different
top
list.
5 cartoons. Yeah.
But at number 5 for me, I have Transformers. Which I absolutely loved when I was a kid, to the point where I still love the Transformers today. Um, the Dinobots, the GoBots, like all of those different Transformer cartoons back in the 80s and 90s were just phenomenal. Man, I used to collect like the toys as well because of the cartoon, but I could not leave that off the list, even though like I watched more DuckTales and more Chip and Dale and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Transformers, I didn't watch it as much, but I feel like it had more of an effect on me as a kid than the others did. So, what is
Mhm.
your number 4?
South Park, the two you said. South Park. I haven't really watched as much South Park, and I got in not later, but like when I was like 14. But man, I just love it. You cannot beat, like, there is nothing like South Park. Like American Dad is kind of a playoff of Family Guy, kind of
Yep.
shit. But South Park, that is some unhinged crap, and I'm about it.
I love
About it.
I love South Park too, just because like out of all the cartoons that exist now, it's the one that is most likely to make me laugh as an adult.
Yes,
You know
it
what I
is
mean?
funny in every way possible.
Right. But at the same time, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't take this seriously. Like, it's so hard to take it seriously. So, like, putting it in the top 5 was hard for me just because I don't think it had as long standing an effect on me personally. So,
Yeah,
if I was doing the top 5 best cartoons, I would have South Park in there.
right.
But this is top 5 favorite cartoons, and that's the difference, right? So, we're talking
Yeah,
about personal favorites, which is a little more subjective than just trying to name the best ones. If we were
right.
talking best, I think South Park would definitely be in
I
my
agree.
top 3. Um, Now, for me, my number 3 is King of the Hill. Um,
I wish I would have got into that. I never did.
I just love the character development in that show. Like it's almost like a cartoon, but I mean it is a cartoon, but it's almost like an actual comedy, like a sitcom, right?
Yeah,
Whereas the others are clearly,
like scripted and all
yeah.
that.
And that's why like Simpsons always did so well, is because it felt more like a sitcom than a cartoon. It just felt like an animated sitcom. But that's why I have King of the Hill on here. Just character development was so good. Um, and current events, they do the whole current events thing too, like South Park does, and Simpsons will do
Yes.
that as well. So, what is your number 3?
I got Rick and Morty, my
Nice.
dude. I love Rick and Morty. I have Rick and Morty plugs for my ear holes. I have a Rick and Morty shirt. I'm the most outwardly Rick and Morty on the list, but um I love Rick and Morty. I got into it like instantly and still watching it. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of episodes because it's still fairly new, but um and that's another reason I love South Park and Family Guy. You can just sit there, put it on whatever the hell it's on, and just play it forever. But and it
Yo,
just keeps going. But
Caramel
Rick and
Unique.
Morty.
Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. Much love. Thank you for the
Hi.
follow. I'm glad you're enjoying the show. I don't know why that didn't give me an alert. Interesting. Anyway, thank you for the follow. Yeah, so Rick and Morty kind of came after my time. Like I was already an
Right.
adult when that came out. But I have interviewed the guy that does the theme song, so that's pretty dope, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
that's dope.
Jarrett Reddick from Bowling for Soup did all the music for that show.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, he's the band that is in the show.
Yeah.
That's Bowling for Soup. Hmm. Yep.
How did I know?
I didn't know
That's
either.
dope.
I didn't know either until I interviewed him. But yeah, like he does that. He's the voice for Chuck E. Cheese, the mouse on Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah, I know, crazy, right? But anyway,
That is nuts.
he does everything. He does so much stuff. Um, so number, let's see here, number two for me, and I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but just hear me out. Number two for me is The Simpsons. Now, for me personally, if I was going with best cartoon, The Simpsons would be number one. There is no question that The Simpsons is the most successful cartoon of all time. Period. Like more episodes, more awards, more everything. But for me personally, I have one that is I favor more than The Simpsons. I love The Simpsons. Obviously, they would be number one best of all time, but for me, they are number two favorite. So, what is your number two, Katie?
So I'll comment on that. Unfortunately, The Simpsons I never got into either.
Okay,
I need to watch. I have I think both. Also, Hulu is great for cartoons, but
I'll have to keep that in
I
mind.
for real they have everything.
Okay,
But I've been thinking about King of the Hill and The Simpsons because they're on there. But anyway, my two. So these top two are very dear to my heart. And the second one's coming out with another season, Futurama.
nice.
I love Futurama so much. I that was one of the shows that I thought would never end, and I just kept playing it and playing it while I was doing laundry, and it finally ended, and I almost cried. But they're coming out with a new season. Like, oh, it might be this week.
So, I don't think I've ever seen an episode of Futurama.
You should so watch it. It's on Hulu.
All right,
You would probably love it. I love it. I love it so much.
I will definitely check it out. And I knew our list would differ, especially at the top, because my
Yeah.
number one goes way back. It's still around. They're still making new episodes of it. And
And I'm
that's
probably gonna get made fun of for my number one.
maybe, I think we both are, because everybody's going to be like, yo, how do you put that number one over South Park and Simpsons? But I've got Looney Tunes as number one. Um, period. I don't think there's a better cartoon that's ever been made. Like, they talk about
I didn't
all the.
expect that.
There's so much stuff that they would get canceled for nowadays. Like, let's just think about it. They have a stuttering pig. They have a gangster rabbit. They
Mhm.
have a road runner that's always bullying a coyote, right? Like, they just mental illness with Daffy Duck. Like, they
Yeah.
touched on so much stuff that made human conditions more palatable as a child. Like, you
Right.
know what I mean? Like, if I saw somebody who was crazy, they didn't seem quite as crazy because of Daffy Duck. Or if I saw
Mhm.
somebody with a French accent, they didn't seem so weird because of Pepe Le Pew. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
Yosemite Sam with a Southerner. Like, for me, I didn't hear anybody with accents like that as a kid. You know? So
Now
I
you
got,
hear them
I
all the time.
absolutely I do, but I love Looney Tunes. I still watch them from time to time. Definitely by far my favorite. It was really hard. Wait a minute, did I skip number four? I don't think I talked about number four for me. I have Scooby Doo at number four. I didn't talk about that, did I?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, I skipped it then. So just so we know, I have Transformers at five, Scooby Doo at four, King of the Hill at three, Simpsons at two, and Looney Tunes at number one. I was like,
Yeah.
and same thing. I love Scooby Doo for the same reason. Um,
Mhm.
and nowadays, like, I troll Scooby Doo just because it's so funny. Like, I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for you pesky kids. So, Katie Lynn, what do you have at number one for
So
favorite
this is
cartoon?
you might not even know what the hell this is, but um I started watching this when oh my god, I remember I used to go on to okay, first of all, it's Adventure Time. But I
Okay.
remember I was like 10. Man, I might have been younger, and they had a game on CartoonNetwork.com that you could play as Marceline the Vampire Queen and stuff. And I sat there and I played that forever, and I still love Adventure Time to this day. I watch reruns all the time, literally last week. So I love it so much. It's its own thing, and it's so like, it seems like very childish, but it gets pretty dark.
Mm-hmm.
It's not meant for children.
I
At the
don't.
first season, sure, but then after that, no way, no. No way, no.
So this was
But
for me. This was the hardest top five we've done.
me too.
Because it was really difficult. Like I feel so bad leaving off South Park and Family Guy
I
and
love American Dad. I love
American
Rob.
Dad, Cleveland Brown, like all of these shows that are great, but like, how do you decide?
And my thing is also like I've watched a butt ton of cartoons on Netflix and stuff like Disenchantment. I loved that so much, but there's only 2 seasons and it's the series and it's over. You know what I mean? It's not like something you
Mm,
really get invested in for a long period of time like this stuff. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And then like F is for Family with Bill Burr, that shit is hilarious. You should
See,
check that out
for
if you
me,
haven't
like I
watched it.
used to love the Justice League cartoons too, with like Superman and
Mhm.
Batman and all of those, Aquaman. To this day, I'm still mad at the Aquaman movies because he's not wearing orange and green. Like, what the hell is that about? Anyway, if you
Also,
are, go ahead.
I was gonna say honorable mention for me, and I may or may not still watch this, but Fairly Odd Parents.
Nothing
Loved
wrong
the
with
first
that.
one.
Absolutely nothing wrong
Loved
with that.
it. Still love it.
Hell, I used to watch Powerpuff Girls with my daughters, man. You know, or
That's good shit too.
the frickin' what was it, Teletubbies. My kids used to love the
Uh-uh.
Teletubbies. Oh my
No, no,
gosh,
no.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, why? No, absolutely not. And
That's
anyway,
terrifying.
that's our top five favorite cartoons. If you guys are listening or watching, or you're in the live channel, what are your top five favorite cartoons? Comment down below or wherever you are. Let us know where we got it right, where we got it wrong, etc., etc. And if you have any ideas for us for a future top five segment, please email us at thechrisandkadieshow at gmail.com. Um, man, all y'all suggestions really help me out in getting these scripts ready because we're doing this every Monday. And so, and Katie, I'm sure you can attest to this. That turnaround is really quick sometimes, right? It's
Yeah.
like we stop talking Monday night and you feel like you have a whole week until we do this again. But then it's Sunday already. And like for example, tonight, I had done nothing on cartoons, and it was maybe 45 minutes to go before we were going to be live, and I was like, oh my God, I haven't done my list yet. So yeah, it turns around really quickly. So it is
Sure do.
the Chris and Kadie Show at gmail.com. All one word. Let us know topics you'd love to hear, both in our news segments, but also in our top five segments. If you would like to have topics added to our game wheel as well, you can go there as well. We are also taking special guests on the show that you can use that email for. Keep that in mind. But anywho, we will move on to our first news topic of the week. Which ones do you want to announce, Katie? Just give me a number, two numbers.
Uh, 1 and 3.
All right, take it away.
Okay. So number one, we have after 54 years, Aerosmith is announcing retirement from touring. Which, first of all, it didn't even. I knew they had lately, but I didn't know they were actively touring like this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the news came as both a shock and yet not on Friday, August 2nd. Aerosmith, long dubbed the Bad Boys from Boston, announced their retirement from touring. Why do I keep saying it like that? Touring. Touring. I'm saying it like it's a car.
I'm saying nothing.
Anyway, it came down to singer Steven Tyler's voice and the damage done to his vocal cords and larynx the last year. Aerosmith has been vague about how the injury occurred. A statement posted on the group's website and social media accounts read, "As you know, Steven's voice is an instrument like no other. He has spent months tirelessly working on getting his voice to where it was before the injury. We've seen him struggling despite having the best medical team by his side. Sadly, it is clear that a full recovery from his vocal injury is not possible. We have what? We have made a heartbreaking and difficult but necessary decision as a band of brothers to retire from the touring stage." It's a huge post on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, at the time, I'm sure it has more reactions than that, but
Well, one thing
they write
they very very cleverly when you hear these announcements and press releases, you guys and Katie, I know you can attest to this. We've both given press releases before, right? So the wording within the press release is very important, not only for you as an artist or a brand, but also you have to kind of put it out in such a way where you reread it, you reread it, you reread it because you want to be able to kind of nip in the bud anything somebody else might be able to read into that, right?
right.
So the key word here in this press release, and again, this is a social media post, but in essence, it's a press release.
Oh
The
yeah.
the key word is touring. Again, Katie butchered the word 17 times, but the word
Okay.
is touring.
Her
Um,
and no one.
so the real question is it over for good? Because the key word in the release again is touring. So that means they're not going to go on the road anymore. But the
That doesn't
statement
mean they're not
does
going to be
not
in the studio.
address the possibility of a residency, which is always a possibility. If you don't know what a residency is, you messed up touring. Apparently, I can't say residency. Um,
Ah,
Basically, a residency is a venue will hire the same act to perform there either monthly, bi-monthly, or weekly, sometimes even daily. Like Vegas, for example, has daily residencies. And so they're leaving open that possibility with their clever use of wordplay that there could be residencies for Aerosmith or even Steven Tyler in the future. So I find that very interesting. They didn't say performing. We are
they
stopping
said touring.
performing. They said touring. So I find that interesting. I don't know about you. How do you feel about the use of the word touring rather than performing?
I absolutely agree. And not only that, I mean, he can go. They can go in the studio,
Yep.
or they could. This is made as Aerosmith saying that Steven Tyler, is going downhill. They could get another vocalist as the Aerosmith, and they're not
Yeah.
going to. But I'm
Yeah.
saying they could. It leaves open a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, I don't see
Um,
that happening. It's always a possibility that the band members could come up with a new artist or a new vocalist. But I mean, if they're saying that Aerosmith is not going to tour anymore, then if that were to happen and a new vocalist came on board, it sounds to me if that happened, it would be a completely new project. And
Probably, yeah.
I mean, Steven Tyler is Aerosmith, and I mean,
Also, I love it is very carefully worded about his vocals and stuff.
mm-hmm,
Um, I honestly I've listened to Aerosmith over the years and everything, but I've never like really delved into like listening to Steven Tyler's voice. I can't tell you if he was necessarily doing it healthily or not. Considering how long he did it, I would assume healthily at least for a certain amount of time. But injuries like that don't just happen out of nowhere.
right.
They happen because of long-term damage
It's
and more
degenerative.
than
It's degenerative.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, same shit happened to Adele, and she was pretty dang young. But after and touring, so long, like, and and touring so long, um, it's just like I can't imagine. Because I mean, I know now. I write these songs. I was always, well, not always, but I was taught before to write a song that had your lowest lows and highest highs of your range. And that's straight up Steven Tyler. And doing that for decades and decades, regardless if, okay, if you are singing healthily that entire time, you're not going to have that issue. You're just not. Look
Mm-hmm.
at Willie. Look at there's a million, and Willie's old as dirt.
Well,
But
it's
like, there's a million people that you can think. Celine Dion, that was a good. She's almost 70, and
mm-hmm.
she sounds still just as beautiful.
Well, I have
And
a very good topic here that can kind of it lines up really well with what we're talking about here. I recently interviewed a guy by the name of Mike Tramp, who most people will not know who that is, but Mike Tramp was the lead singer and main songwriter for a band from the 80s called White Lion. And anybody who's listened to White Lion or any band from the 80s, you will know that the registers were always higher. Always, always super high, from Vince Neil and Axl Rose and all of those guys, Bret Michaels from Poison. They all had that upper register. And the way Mike put it when we were talking on my other podcast, because, and I want to really put this in context, he has released recently 2 albums. One is about to be out, one is already out, called Songs of White Lion Volume 1 and 2. And so what these are is they're reimagined versions from the same songs that they released in the 80s. But they've been redone, the vocals have been redone, everything's been redone. So when I asked him why, like, what was the idea behind it, what was the reason for the reimaginings, I expected him to talk about the difference in technology nowadays, right? The technology is better. Things sound better. Things look better, etc., etc. And really the reason why he wanted to do it is because, and I'm going to put it the way he did, okay, this is a direct quote. He said, "I don't make love the same way that I did when I was 22. And so you think about it in those terms, what he means by that is he doesn't sound the same way he does, or he did, back when those songs were done originally. And it's impossible for him to live up to those vocal ranges as a 70-something-year-old versus a 20-something-year-old. And that's why he wanted to redo these songs. That way he can do them in his now voice instead of trying to do them as his then voice. And anybody who has seen a live version of Vince Neil from Motley Crue recently will see how much that man struggles with trying to be the then voice, right?
Oh.
So, I mean, the fact of the matter is you're not going to sound the same in your 70s as you do in your 20s. And
and the biggest thing behind that is you're not going to have the energy.
Yeah.
Is really what it comes down to.
Well, not only that, but your biology has changed. The shape of your vocal cords has changed. You have degenerative diseases within your vocal cords as well, just from stretching them for so long. And at some point in time, I mean, shoot, I'm 47 and I don't sound anything near what I sounded like in my 20s.
Your range shortens for sure. And I know, like, Celine Dion, and I know, like, we talked about Celine Dion. I know I've watched a million videos of her live because I'm just mesmerized. But she sometimes, like, I've seen videos of her singing, like, My Heart Will Go On in a lower key than it's recorded. But that's what you do.
You have to do it that way.
And you make the band relearn it. And usually if you go, like, a whole step down, it ain't that much of a problem.
Well, unfortunately, and the other thing Mike said, too, on his episode, which is coming out next week, I think it comes out the same day as this, actually, this episode. Funny. But he said, look, you look at nowadays, he said, you don't see baseball players from the 80s still playing baseball today, or basketball players. You don't see that. Like, why do people expect their vocalists to sound exactly the same as they did in the 80s? It's not like I'm a guitar player and I can still play guitar the same way. It's not that way. And so what I'm afraid of, bringing this home back to Aerosmith, what I'm really worried about and afraid of for Steven Tyler is that maybe the expectation for him has always been to compare himself to the then voice and trying to replicate that as best he could. And now, because of that, his voice is essentially gone. It's shattered, right?
There's that side of the coin, and I also know, like, how I would be in that situation. I'd keep pushing myself till I couldn't.
Right.
I wouldn't go that far, I wouldn't think. But I give myself I have very high expectations for myself. If I could do it then, why the hell can't I do it now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I mean, I'm always trying to push my range and push my abilities. So to get to a point where I would be like, why the hell can't I sing this anymore? It would piss me off. And I'd try to be like, nope. So, I mean, I get that side of the coin too. But I'm not saying that's how he is, but that's how
I'm curious if it's fan expectation or self expectation from Steven. Little known fact, I've actually, when I was very little, I had some interaction with the Tyler family when I grew up in
Hey.
Massachusetts. I don't talk about it much, but I have spent the weekend at their crib and stuff like that. So yeah, he's a cool guy, really really a cool guy. But we'll miss him. One of the best bands of all time,
Yep.
and it's just sad. Everything ends eventually, right?
Yep. Unfortunately.
So from Aerosmith, we are going to talk about a completely different band. Now, I have to be very, very upfront that I know absolutely zero about this band. I have never heard of them until I saw this story come up on my news feed, which I have a news feed going all the time just so I can find some pertinent stories for Katie and I to talk about. This is a band I think they're from the UK. They're called the 1975. And I'm going to read this story from RTT News. The 1975, again, that's the name of the band. I'm not talking about the year, so just so y'all know, if you hear me say the 1975, that is
It's the best.
that's the band. The 1975 sued by Malaysian festival organizers over Maddie Healy's same-sex kiss. Maddie Healy is the lead singer of the 1975. The 1975 and frontman Maddie Healy are facing a lawsuit from the organizers of Malaysia's Good Vibes Festival, according to a report by Variety. So this is actually a report from Variety that's essentially being regurgitated by a different site. Kind of like we're regurgitating it here on the podcast.
Yeah.
The festival is seeking 1.9 million pounds or 2.4 million American dollars as Healy's on-stage protest of the country's anti-LGBTQ laws during the band's headline performance last July resulted in the festival being shut down. Now, in court
What?
documents, go ahead.
They shut the whole damn thing
The
down.
whole festival was shut down because of his on-stage kiss of one of his bandmates on the lips because it's against the law in Malaysia for public homosexuality. There's a backstory behind this, Katie. Let me get to it.
That was the only thing. Okay, the rest we can talk about, but that's like the whole thing.
It's a
Ruin
little
it for
bit
everybody.
It's a little bit different everywhere else, right? I mean, they're not caught up with us quite as much with equality and stuff. But anyway, in court documents filed by festival organizers Future Sound Asia in the UK High Court, they claim that the 1975 and their management team were aware of the numerous prohibitions the band had to abide by in order to perform. They point out the band previously performed at the festival in 2016 and were told of the prohibitions then and were reminded multiple times again ahead of the performance last summer. These included swearing, smoking, and drinking on stage, taking off their clothes, and talking about politics or religion. Essentially, and I'm adding this part in myself, shut up and sing.
Yep.
Essentially. Anyway, back to the story. Further guidelines issued by the Malaysia Central Agency for the Application for Foreign Filming and Performance by Foreign Artists, otherwise known as PUSPAL. If your acronym is PUSPAL,
You need some puss, pal.
included a ban on, quote, kissing a member of the audience, or carrying out such actions among themselves, unquote. However, during the show, Healy delivered a profanity-laden speech criticizing Malaysia's anti-LGBTQ laws and then kissed his bandmate, Ross McDonald. Following the incident, local authorities revoked the festival's license and canceled the final 2 nights of shows. So essentially what has happened here is the festival was shut down by the local law, and because they lost all of that income from a festival they were planning on continuing to happen, they are suing the band because they were the reason for the police shutting down the festival.
That I understand that, but it being having 2 more days of the festival, the law, like that's insane. Like that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I get it. You know, this is a different place. This is in America. They don't have the same rights as we do. And I mean, they laid it out there. Unfortunately, it is shut up and sing. But I mean, they laid it out there. They told you like beforehand, like you knew. Maybe you didn't think the consequences were going to be that bad, but they were, and you ruined it for a lot of people, and you cost them a lot of money. They probably prepaid a lot of people, did a deposit for artists and stuff, and then the contracts they had to pay them all kinds of shit like that, like that. I get it.
So I don't know how UK High Court works. I will never pretend to be a lawyer expert from the United Kingdom unless it comes up on the gaming wheel. But typically, if this was the United States, this festival would be what we call shit out of luck. Because
Yeah,
there is a history of this band kind of bucking their rules
right.
prior to this. So there's an 8-year history going back to 2016 with this band. They are well known to be of the protesting variety. First of all, a couple of things. Number one, kudos to the band for standing up for what they think is right,
I
regardless
agree
of
on
what
that.
that may be. I just want to get that out of the way. Obviously, I'm an ally. I am all for equality and inclusion, all of those things. However, there's always multiple sides to a coin. And whether you agree with somebody's stance or not, you got to kind of look at this from an intelligent standpoint as well. It
Yeah.
probably wasn't the best move to go to a different country with different laws, knowing that those laws existed, and then trying to make your point at that point.
That really screams privilege too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I
Really.
mean, I think a better point would be instead of going out there and doing what he did, knowing the reaction it was going to get, which is, I mean,
Hmm.
it's why he did it, right? Which is
Yeah.
fine. I think the best thing they could have done is just don't go out, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, at that point, sure, they're not going to get paid. They'll have to figure out how to get home. But all of that happened anyway. They didn't get paid. They had to find their way
And now
home.
they're getting sued.
And now they're getting sued on top of it. Um, I think you could protest just by simply not going out on stage and then putting out a press release afterwards. This is why we're not going out on stage. It's because this
Yeah.
law is bullshit. We don't agree with this law, blah, blah, blah. But, like, doing a publicity stunt like that is, for me, it's cool if you're in your own country.
Right.
But once
Like
it,
like the I forgot the whole story, but wearing the dresses, the Adult Entertainment Act
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah, James
Yeah.
McMurtry, yep, mm-hmm.
Yes.
So
Yes. Same shit that
there's
was
a
here.
couple of stories that kind of go back to what we've done already. The James
Right.
McMurtry one is a good one that you just pointed out,
Mhm.
which obviously he's doing that because of
Adult
the
Entertainment Act.
Adult
Yeah.
Entertainment Act that was put forth in Tennessee, and that's why he wore a dress on stage. But then you got the story that we did about Nicki Minaj getting
Yeah.
arrested in another country because she didn't know the laws there, right? And
Yeah.
and, and I feel like I don't know, this is a different thing than that, obviously, because this guy clearly knew what the laws were ahead of time, and that's why he was protesting. But I'm just trying to look at this from both sides. Um,
Yeah.
Now, again, I can tell you another little bit of a story that kind of is pertinent here as well. In Longview, Texas, several years ago, they hired Co Wetzel, who you and I both know pretty well, I'm sure. And Co is a um, very, what's the word, outspoken individual and doesn't care what he says on stage. Let's just put it that way.
Mhm.
And there's nothing wrong with that, personally. But the city of Longview hired him to perform at their balloon races a couple of years ago. And he was cussing on stage like Co does. That's what Co does. That's who he is. Everybody knows this already. Like, you hire Co
Mhm.
Wetzel, that's what you're getting.
Yeah.
So, Longview tried to pretend like they didn't know and all of this, and they had to apologize, and everybody was upset because, again, this is the Bible Belt, and it was a family-friendly event and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Here's an idea. Don't hire somebody who's known to cuss a lot for your family-friendly event. Now, again, in that case, and the one that we're talking about here, it's very unlikely any court is going to give any kind of money to an organizer when it's pretty clear the patterns that those bands represent prior to them hiring them.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
it's like hiring a metal band for your hoedown.
That's like
You
that's
know what I
like
mean?
when
No, I was expecting country music for my hoedown, and I got metal. I don't understand. I'm gonna sue. Well, you hired a
that's
metal
like
band, bro.
that's like when Limp Bizkit played break shit at Woodstock, and everyone started taking the damn sound tower down and all that. Have you seen that?
I haven't.
Woodstock '99? No, you have to look that up. Like that was a disaster.
Okay.
Like Woodstock '99 was a disaster, but that like they had a tower, you know,
Yeah.
like where they did the sound. They were singing. People were pulling off like metal and like surfing the crowd on top of this
This
shit.
has surprised me.
No, like insane. And then they're encouraging it, and then they got like a lot of shit for it because Woodstock ended up being a shit fest.
But yeah.
But at the same time, that's Limp Bizkit singing a song that they wrote called "Break Shit."
Well, anyway, it definitely sucks for this festival organizer that they lost. They lost 2 days of income and all of that. But again,
Absolutely.
like you have to know. I mean, this band is very vocal in their support of LGBT rights, and I mean that's just a fact. So you got to be careful
Hmm.
of that. I'm very curious to see what the courts will decide in that case. It should be
Agreed.
interesting, and if I happen to see it come across my timeline, we will definitely update folks. And if I miss it, and you are seeing this in the future, please let us know in the comments. I see it in the comments below what actually happened. I don't know why that
Oh,
works for
I
you and
proved
not
it
me.
on Magic.
I'm assuming it's because you're on a phone and I'm not. It must be like a mobile
On
thing.
Magic.
Anyway, what's
Does
the
it-
next story, Katie? You've got number 3.
Now I'm sitting here acting like stupid.
So there is no link for this one, so we're going to talk about Hawk Tuah.
Oh yeah. Oh, I meant the. I didn't look at the thing. I had the next article pulled up,
Okay.
so I had 4.
So I essentially just want to talk about not necessarily her,
I forgot about that one.
but I want to talk about viral fame. And so people can just make one little 13-second clip and it explodes, and the next thing you know, they have millions
Millions
and
of
millions
followers.
and millions and millions of followers. And just viral fame is a thing in our society nowadays. It's been
I
like, go ahead.
I just thought off the top of my head. I think it's pretty unfortunate, mildly. Like it's cool in some form or fashion. And all these videos that are going nuts are usually enjoyable and funny, or something. But at the same time, like I don't know, there's a lot of it's like some of the stupidest shit sometimes.
It is.
But also with internet fame, all not all of them, but a lot of them get like all like stuck up their own ass thinking they some shit because they got millions of followers, and then you go out in the real world and they're like, do you know who I am? No, we have no damn clue who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen like TikTokers and shit getting arrested? It's
I
so
have.
funny.
Well, I personally think this all started with the Catch Me Outside girl, right? I feel like she was
Probably.
like one of the first ones that really kind of um man, I don't even know how to determine it, but like the first ones that really like the soundbite era, just
Yeah.
became super famous from a quick soundbite. Like there's so many, like there's the guy that
Vine
goes,
started it,
yeah,
but that was a
Vines.
while.
Yeah, Vines is a good point. That probably did start it all. But there was the older black guy that goes into the convenience store. You may not know some of these, but um, and it's the beans and bologna guy.
I knew you were going to
Beans
say that.
and
And bologna.
bologna. Oh my God, bro!
Please come
Please
home.
come
I
home.
got beans and bologna.
I absolutely love that dude, bro. I love that guy. Like,
I love it.
I,
And then
I,
not today.
mhm.
That one.
Then
And then
the people that go on the news report, kabuya, kabuya.
had your kids, had your wife.
Yep. Or the I like corn little kid. Remember that kid? The I like corn kid. There's just so many. I love. Man, I'm not gonna lie. I love me some TikTok. I love me shorts and reels and all of that shit. God, it's so addicting.
But I knew this, but I didn't realize not a lot of people put two and two together. So Vine ended, right? And then came along Musically.
Yeah.
TikTok is Musically. It's the same thing. They just rebranded.
Right.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yep.
I mentioned that like in a group of friends the other day, and they're like, "What?"
Well, I'm hoping to have more TikTok stars on my other podcast. I have one coming up next week as well, that I'm excited about. But I'm hoping. I've been reaching out to some. They're really hard to get a hold of, to be honest, because a lot of them have their messages turned off because it's so toxic on TikTok.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to talk to some of those folks. I think it's just a different brand of entertainment, right? Like we're all so entertained just by swiping. Like
I love there's some people like oh my God, that chick that does the trailer park.
Yeah.
Charlene.
Yep.
Oh my God. I love her. See that? Worthy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I just think it's funny. I think the older folks don't get it, and I understand that, right? Like they're so used to like actual content being noticed, whereas like this girl just saying you gotta hawk Tuah, spit on that thing, right? And now this girl's like super famous. Like she could do whatever she wants. Get an OnlyFans. She can go into porn. She can go into sitcoms. She can literally do anything with her life at this moment. And I mean, she's probably made. And see, that's the thing too. And that's why I'd love to talk to some of these folks. Like when they become so viral with one thing, like hawk Tuah or beans and bologna or I like corn, how do you follow that up? Right? Like you never hear them with another video because it's so hard to follow that shit up with new stuff.
Because usually that's like, I mean, it's on the fly shit that just so happened to be funny.
Yep. It's just organic. It happened, and it took off. People started hitting like and swiping or not swiping. I can scroll forever on TikTok. Me too, Connor. It's honestly, my wife and I have what we call TikTok time. We call it triple T in bed every night. TikTok time before we roll over and go to sleep. And her algorithm is completely different than mine. So it's so, and that's the other cool thing about TikTok too, is just trying to shape your algorithm is super fun. But yeah, if you're watching out there, how do you feel about instant fame and viral content making somebody for life at some point, in some instances? You know, and then you get folks like Oliver Anthony who go viral, but they actually do make content. They're a singer-songwriter. And so that kind of situation is really a huge boost.
You're talking about like Danielle Bregoli. That's a great example.
Yeah,
very good example.
Yep.
She is rich and famous, all because of one phrase.
Well, I keep it real with you, Kadie. I think if TikTok was a big thing back when you were on AGT, I think your performance of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star would have been a viral moment. I honestly believe that.
Would have been nice.
Right? I think that would have happened. We should try to get that clip and put it out on TikTok and see.
That'd be nuts.
Yeah.
I still don't have TikTok.
So weird, Kadie. Get with the times.
I don't want to.
I literally thought I would be the last person on the planet with a TikTok and a Discord, and here I am.
Me and Jackson still don't have TikTok. Jackson don't have it either.
You guys are just old people. That's all it is.
We really are. We really are.
It's true. All right, so last topic. Well, it's not our last topic, but it is our last one before we hit the weird but true news. This one, it's not an actual. It's not an actual quote. I don't think it should be, but I added this because I thought it was funny. Jack Black has announced that Tenacious D will in fact return at some point. And honestly, I put into quotations, the D will be back.
I saw that. I was like,
He should have said it like that. It would have been
yeah.
so funny.
I thought that was the actual article. I was like, oh.
But anyway, Jack Black says Tenacious D will be back following a tour cancellation due to Kyle Gass's Trump shooting remark. And Jack Black said these things take time. And he's right. But Jack Black has weighed in on the future of Tenacious D after his band partner Kyle Gass. Again, this is from Variety. I don't know why we have so many stories from Variety this week. Whatever. After his band partner Kyle Gass made a controversial remark about Donald Trump's attempted assassination in July, which prompted Black to cancel the duo's latest tour. Quote, we need to take a break. Everybody needs a break sometime, unquote. Black told Variety's Mark Malkin at the Borderlands premiere on Tuesday night. And we'll be back, he said. Asked if he's talked to Gass since the tour's cancellation, Black replied, yes, we're friends. That hasn't changed. These things take time sometimes, and we'll be back when it feels right. Black also showed off the titular magical guitar pick from the 2006 comedy film Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny. Look, what I wore today, I wore the Pick of Destiny, Black said on the carpet. I love Tenacious D. It's probably my favorite job, if you can call it that. It's a work of art. It's my baby. Last month, Black announced on social media that he was canceling Tenacious D's current tour. Amid blowback against Gass, who made a controversial comment at the rock duo's concert in Australia related to the assassination attempt on Trump. Tenacious D was performing at the ICC Sydney Theatre on July 14th, the day after the Trump rally shooting in Butler, Pennsylvania. And I'm not going to actually repeat the quote because that's just gross. We did talk about the actual story a couple of weeks ago in the cancellation. At that time, Katie and I both believed, I believe if I remember correctly, we both believed that this would not be the end of Tenacious D. And that perhaps this would just be a pausing of sort for the band.
Yeah.
And it seems like we were correct, Katie. Well done. So,
big brain.
How do you feel about them? I mean, essentially what we said is they need to let this blow over. And then they should be back, whatever. But how do you feel about them coming back so quickly? They really didn't let it blow over very long, I feel.
I mean, in a lot of people's world, like mine, that feels like it was like 3 months ago. It was like a month ago. If that. I don't know when it was. I have no track of time, and I feel like not a lot of people do, with how busy everyone is these days. But, I mean, I do think it is a bit soon. Not for me, and probably not for a lot of people, but for other people it will be. I do think, I mean, that was effed up.
It was.
It was effed up.
And the thing is, when you're trying to be funny all the time, right, and essentially a Tenacious D concert, I put that in quotes.
Everything's a joke, yeah.
Yeah, they are musically putting on a show with music, but really it's a skit of sorts, right? And they're doing acting and things like that, and there's a lot of improv involved. And when you're trying to be improvisational and funny all the time, you can let really fucked up things escape your lips without much brain power behind them, without much analyzation of it. And I'm not defending the comment at all. If you're listening and you know what the comment is, I'm not defending him or saying that it's not a important thing that he said and did. I think it was absolutely disgusting what he said. And I think it's probably more than likely that he feels it was really disgusting what he said as well.
Yeah.
But we won't know that for sure until we see actions and things like that from this guy in the future. But I feel like maybe the right thing for not Kyle, but Jack to have said during this, random question was, it's not something I want to talk about right now. And just leave it be. He gave more information than I think he should have. Because obviously the band is not back yet. They're not touring.
This is just saying what we all thought.
Right. But at the same time, I think he should have just let things happen organically if they were going to happen. Obviously, people want to know his opinion. And
now there's pressure.
Yeah, well, now that he's given his opinion, more people
that.
are going to want more from him and more and more and more. When? The next question is, when will you guys be back? I don't know. I think, again, I don't think it's blown over enough. I think there has to be somewhat of almost like an apology tour for Kyle. Because regardless of what he and Jack Black do and say, there's going to be a large portion of the population that are not going to like them now because of what was said. And that's what they have to deal with going forward. That's just repercussions.
Yep.
We all have freedom of speech, but we also we are not
free from consequences.
That's right, and we're not free from freedom of reach either, right? Freedom of speech versus freedom of reach. We've talked about that in the past. But let's talk about weird but true news. I'll do a story, then you do a story, then I'll do a story. And then next week we'll reverse. Well, next week we'll have a special guest, I hope, if I get off my ass. And so hopefully we'll have 3 next week. But I am going to go with, I have 2 stories set up here. I'm going to go with one, then you go with yours, and then I'll do a third one. Sound good?
All right. Gucci.
So, weird but true news, insert jingle here.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right, Chicken Parade prompts changes to proposed restrictions in Iowa's capital. This is the headline, Katie. I am not kidding.
That was a lot of damn words.
I will say it one more time just so you guys can stay with me. Chicken Parade prompts changes to proposed restrictions in Iowa's capital city. Now, I am saying this story for a couple of reasons. Number one, because I know somebody from Iowa that's probably going to watch this segment. And number two, this shit is hilarious to me. And I'm going to tell you why I think it's hilarious in a minute. But anyway, here is the article. Iowa's capital city is establishing a new pecking order for backyard chickens and roosters after some of their diehard fans paraded around City Hall with some of their flocks on Monday. This is just in from the Associated Press. City manager Scott Sanders said in a statement issued Friday evening that he thinks the city can find a way to amend the proposed restrictions so they will, quote, better serve the whole community, including chicken owners. The proposal that got preliminary approval from the city council would have cut the number of birds allowed from 30 to 12 and ban the roosters that are disturbing the peace in some neighborhoods. Now, my question is, this is me saying this, is this not the largest cock block you have ever seen in your life?
I don't like you. That's the whole reason he told it. Oh my God. That's insane. Chicken Parade.
Chicken Parade organizer Ed Fallon said the city seemed to be overreacting to a total of 3 complaints about chickens that were registered between the start of 2020 and June of 2024. A small group of people holding chickens came out Monday to march from the State House to City Hall. Sanders said, I love the fact that his name is Sanders, by the way, and this is a story about chickens. Like, this guy, I'm curious if he's a veteran and if he made it to colonel. But anyway, Sanders said he asked Assistant City Manager Malcolm Hankins to draft an amendment that will be broadly accepted. After listening to council member concerns at the July 22nd council meeting, we believe there is a better path forward for an amendment to this ordinance at a later date, Hankins said in the release. Now, the new rules should allow roosters, but require the licensing of chickens and set up a process for dealing with nuisance animals that can't contain their cockadoodle-doos. That is the end of the story. That is the actual story on the Associated Press.
Sounds like half the population that's male.
I'm going to leave that one alone. So anyway, guys, ladies and gentlemen, while all of us are fighting over politics, religion, and the Olympics, there is a large cock block going on in Des Moines, Iowa that none of us knew about. And if it wasn't for the Chris and Kadie Show, you would not know about these important matters that matter to all of us. You are welcome. Kadie, what is your weird but true news story this week?
So I'm actually going to do two because what I have, they're kind of short.
That's cool.
And you had like a whole story.
Well, that'll make it fair anyway because I have two as well. So that'll work.
Okay. This is the first one I found earlier, and I love it. If you're drunk or violent in Japan.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing worse than being drunk and purple in Japan. Just saying. Go ahead, Kadie.
I didn't say purple. I said, oh. That was my train of thought just now. Anyway, if you are drunk or violent in Japan, shut up. Police will take a plastic sheet and roll you up like a burrito. I didn't know that was a thing. So police in Japan rarely ever resort to violence as they choose to de-escalate the situation at hand first. After the wrapping, police will take the drunk or violent person to the station to let them calm down. That's nuts. Just wrap you up like a burrito and roll you down the street.
God dang it. What time does Taco Bell close? Let me see. All right. I need to have me a purple burrito. Let's go.
I hate you. Go ahead and tell your other one while I find it.
Wow, listen to her just giving orders out, stream. All right, that's fine.
I know, I sound like you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about Sasquatch. This is very important, and this is from the courthouselibrary.ca. This is an actual thing. To date, librarians at the courthouse library have not been able to find any references to Sasquatch or Sasquatches, or the creature by any other name, in any British Columbia statute. However, we have discovered that the myth may have originated in Nanaimo at the turn of the 20th century. The Best of Sasquatch Bigfoot by John Green contains an article originally printed in The Colonist. The article quotes a letter where the writer is asking the government agent at the time for permission to shoot, quote, the wild man of Horn Lake, unquote. The article then states, quote, Bray has informed Kincaid that it is unlawful to shoot Mowglis within the province of British Columbia at any time, unquote. Now, in the United States, however, there is a law on the books against killing any Sasquatch in the state of Washington. That includes Yeti, Bigfoot, or any other giant hairy ape that is not your Aunt Lila. On April 1st, 1969, the Board of Commissioners of Skamania County, Washington State, adopted an ordinance for the protection of Sasquatch Bigfoot creatures. This is ordinance number 69-01. Y'all can look it up yourself if you want. Although it might sound like an April Fool's Day joke, it is an official ordinance. In fact, it was published in the local weekly newspaper, the Skamania County Pioneer, on April 4th and April 11th, 1969. Because people did not take it seriously, the newspaper publisher had the article notarized again on April 12th and printed both the ordinance and an affidavit of publication in a subsequent paper edition. This was a very important thing.
Real shit.
The ordinance has been partially repealed and amended since then. And the revised ordinance, which is ordinance number 1984-02, if you all want to look it up, went into effect on April 2nd, 1984. The amended law also declared the animal, quote, an endangered species, unquote, and created a, quote, Sasquatch refuge, unquote. An ordinance list and disposition table can be found online. Now, just so we're clear, up until 1984, it was illegal to kill a Sasquatch in that county in Washington State. And then in 1984, they were like, dude, that law is so dumb. So dumb. We shouldn't be doing that. Let's amend it to now you can't kill them, and if you see one, we must give it a safe refuge.
Oh my God. You know what? I get it. Same
Now,
with Sasquatches.
Nearby in Whatcom County, Washington,
They shoot 'em.
a resolution was adopted that also declares the county a, quote, Sasquatch protection and refuge area, unquote. The resolution number 92-043, Katie, if you're following at home. This one went into effect in June of 1992. A resolution list and disposition table can be found online. Now, the purpose behind these laws was actually to protect the safety and well-being of persons living or traveling in these areas when a Sasquatch is, quote-unquote, sighted. As many well-armed scientific investigators and casual hunters show up to try to take specimens. So essentially what they did is they made it illegal to shoot a legendary mythical creature that they don't believe exists, because by people trying to shoot these mythical creatures, they're actually shooting each other. So this begs the question, Katie. If it's not just illegal to shoot them, why are there resolutions for safety in refuge areas?
Baby, that's just some work.
Okay, look. Stop shooting the Sasquatch. Instead, we need to bring them home.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that's what the article says. It is because that hunters, armed scientific investigators and casual hunters were showing up to take specimens and getting shot by each other when they thought or saw movement in the woods. But again, that does not explain, I saw that, the resolutions and amendments that these counties put forth to actually set up refuge areas for these clearly non-existent animals.
Oh my God.
Great stuff.
Also, I was lowering my chair, so I wasn't falling. It
not
was
falling.
very sudden.
Yep, you totally did that controlled. All right, so what is your last weird but true news story?
Okay, I'm going to do two because these are just like short sentences, facts. Shut up! I'm taking initiative, okay?
I love it.
Anyway, fun fact number one. It says Lady Gaga, bless her heart, once spent $50,000 on a ghost detector.
Let's go. Of course she did.
See, that's one. Okay, this one's a little bit longer. Considering gelatin is made up of animal skin and bones, right? Yeah. Gummy worms technically have more bones than actual worms, since worms don't have any.
Gummy worms have more bones than real worms. Okay, let's go. Makes sense to me.
The math is mathing.
It totally is. I agree. That's great. Gummy worms have more bones than worms.
I have more if you want to hear more.
No. Just save them for another week, Katie. We have to make this segment last, right? This is one of our more popular segments.
Funny as shit.
All right, so let's go from the weird but true news to the unfortunately true news. And that is our main topic of the week. Man, I hate and love at the same time how much Taylor Swift is a part of our show. I love it because I love Taylor. Yeah, I love it because I love Taylor. I hate it because she is so polarizing, and she's always in the news for good things, bad things, and everything in between. This is obviously a bad thing this week. Unfortunately, it could have been much, much worse. I'm glad it wasn't. I'm glad that she is safe.
And everything is handled.
And right, but man, I'll tell you what, this is some scary shit right here. Because I think Katie and I both agree that Taylor Swift is an absolutely a global treasure and an icon. I don't know if you saw, completely off topic, but I don't know if you saw that people were actually attacking Dolly Parton recently. But anyway, we'll talk about that after the show, because that might be something we want to talk about in the future. Because I always attribute Dolly Parton, Willie Nelson, Taylor Swift in the same boat. They are global treasures and should be protected at all costs. But, as you guys may know, because obviously we're not the biggest news source in the world, and hopefully we never are, because, we talk about...
Because we're... Yeah.
We talk about orange and blue lobsters and fucking...
And Red Lobster's fancy.
Spending lots of money on ghost detectors and... But anyway, so Taylor Swift recently had a couple of concerts in Vienna, Austria that were canceled due to a terroristic plot that was put together by a couple of insane individuals, allegedly insane individuals, let me add that, that were apparently going to either blow up her concert or enact some other kind of hurt and destruction on her show. Now, why were Taylor Swift's Vienna shows canceled? This is from People.com. What we know about the alleged terror plot so far. This was actually published on the 9th of August, and this was several days after the announcement that the shows were going to be canceled. Now, Taylor Swift's highly anticipated Eras Tour concerts in Vienna, Austria were abruptly canceled due to an alleged planned terrorist attack. Taylor Swift's Eras Tour stops in Vienna, Austria came to a halt in August 2024 after authorities derailed an alleged planned terrorist attack targeting the concerts. Swift was set to perform 3 shows in Vienna from August 8th to the 10th. However, on the evening of August 7th, the concert promoter, Barracuda Music, announced the cancellation, writing that they had, quote, no choice but to cancel, unquote, the 3 performances in order to prioritize the safety of all attendees. The planned attack was confirmed by Austrian authorities, who emphasized the severity of the potential threat. This is some scary shit, y'all.
Yep.
The suspects had very specific and detailed plans to cause a tragedy on the scale of Paris, Manchester, or Moscow, Karl Nehammer, the Chancellor of Austria, said at a news conference on August 8th. The suspects intended to use explosives and knives to cause mass casualties, authorities said at the conference, leading to the cancellation of Swift's scheduled shows. The situation was serious. The situation is serious, but we can also say a tragedy was prevented, Interior Minister Gerhard Karner told reporters. In the days since, Austrian officials have arrested 3 suspects in connection with the planned attack. Here's everything we know so far about the alleged plotted attack on Taylor Swift's concerts in Vienna and what it means for the rest of the Eras Tour. Now, on August 7th, Austrian authorities confirmed the arrest of 2 men planning an attack on the concerts at Ernst Happel Stadium, scheduled from August 8th to the 10th, which were expected to bring in nearly 200,000 attendees over the course of the 3 shows. That does not include the more than 45,000 people they expected outside the stadium as well. Because I don't know if you've heard this, Katie, but that's the thing that's happening now. It's so hard to get tickets to these tours that there are tens of thousands of people that are literally just sitting on blankets outside the stadium.
Yeah.
Just to listen to the songs.
Yeah.
And that's a different story. There was a story recently, just as a side quest off of this main one, where I think it was, I don't remember where it was. Maybe it was Paris, but the concert organizers, a.k.a. Taylor, made sure that there were lots of blankets and water and hydration stations and things like that for the people outside the stadium who could be dealing with heat exhaustion and things like that. Just incredible stuff. That's a great story too. And I didn't put that into the podcast when it happened because I thought we were talking about Taylor's good stuff too much, but this one I could not avoid.
Yeah.
But anyway, the suspects intended to use explosives and knives to cause mass casualties, forcing the cancellation of the shows for safety reasons, according to officials. Both suspects had become radicalized on the internet and had taken concrete preparatory actions for a terrorist attack, Austrian authorities wrote in German in a statement on August 7th. The main suspect had sworn an oath of allegiance to IS, which is ISIS essentially, on the internet, and chemical substances were seized in his apartment during a house search. Authorities decided to cancel the concerts after uncovering detailed plans for the attack. The official Taylor Nation account shared Barracuda Music's post on Instagram stories, which stated, quote, with confirmation from government officials of a planned terrorist attack at Ernst Happel Stadium, we have no choice but to cancel the 3 scheduled shows for everyone's safety. The post also noted that all ticket purchases were to be automatically refunded, and a similar note about refunds was added on the Eras Tour website. Then it goes on to say who the suspects were. I'm not going to talk about, let me see. It doesn't give their identity, so I suppose we could do that. According to authorities, the primary suspect, who is a 19-year-old Austrian, admitted to planning the attack, intended to kill himself and many others at the concert, according to NBC. Authorities found large quantities of chemicals, detonators, explosives, and 21,000 euros of counterfeit money at his apartment. His aim was to kill himself and a large number of people during the concert, either today or tomorrow. Omar Hajawi Perchner, head of Austria's Directorate, God damn it, Directorate of State Security and Intelligence, told reporters at a press conference. The 19-year-old wanted to, quote, kill as many people as possible, unquote, authorities added. A second suspect, who was a 17-year-old who worked at a facility management company providing services to the stadium, and a 15-year-old boy who refused to speak with authorities, were also detained on August 7th. And that's the part that scares me, because there was one of these kids had direct access to the stadium. Yeah. That's frightening, man. Now, the 15-year-old was ultimately released, the New York Times reported on August 9th, and has been being treated as a witness rather than a suspect. Authorities determined he was not involved in the plot, but knew of many details and corroborated crucial information of the main suspect's confession. That reads to me like perhaps he
sold him out.
Yeah, that's what it reads to me. Now, there was a third suspect who is believed to be connected to the main suspect and was also arrested on August 9th. While authorities believe he was not part of the planned attack, he was closely connected to the plotters and had sworn an oath to the Islamic State. Now, Swift has not publicly commented on the canceled Vienna shows. However, in an interview with Elle in 2019, the Grammy winner did express her fear of violence and terroristic attacks at concerts, referencing 2 incidents in 2017, which we're all familiar with, I'm sure. The first being the Manchester Arena bombing at an Ariana Grande.
You sound like you're from Manchester.
I know. at an Ariana Grande concert, and of course the Las Vegas concert shooting as well. She said then, I was completely terrified to go on tour this time because I didn't know how we were going to keep 3 million fans safe over 7 months. Swift emphasized the extensive planning and security measures taken to keep her fans safe during tours in light of those attacks. There was a tremendous amount of planning, expense, and effort put into keeping my fans safe, she added then. Again, the cancellation of the Vienna tours has led to increased security measures for the rest of the tour, which is currently planned to end in December. And authorities have ramped up surveillance and added more security personnel at her concerts.
At this point, they should have the damn Secret Service out there for her.
I mean, I promise you her security team is probably more than the Secret Service.
No, I know, but God.
Yeah. I don't think, based on, again, some of her interviews in the past, she is very, very proactive in this. So it sounds like, honestly, I can almost guarantee her team probably found something or whatever and put an end to this. So it's nice to see that either the local authorities or her team were able to thwart. There's a Scooby-Doo word for you. Thwart this terroristic attack. It's scary, though. It also reminds me, I know this wasn't added into this story, but it reminds me of the Christina Grimmie.
I know.
Man, that was horrible.
Yeah.
I still think about her a lot, man. A lot.
Man, I always think about Dimebag.
Same. Yeah, it's the same situation, right? Like, yeah, Dimebag, Christina Grimmie. Marvin Gaye wasn't quite the same. I guess it was his dad that shot him. It wasn't during the show, but it's just, man, it's scary stuff, man.
Absolutely. Also, I don't know if you know this. I found another article. I'm gonna butcher the name. But anyway, she got fans free necklaces from Vienna Swarovski.
Easy for you to say, Kadie Lynn.
After shows were canceled, so everyone, after they canceled the Vienna Eras tour, due to all that crap, they still, many fans in the Australian cities still decided to gather to support each other and explore. As some fans showed on TikTok and X, formerly Twitter, the unique gift which fans were able to claim after showing their ticket to one of the canceled shows was a necklace from the brand with a variety of different crystal charms tucked into the bag.
Yeah.
So they all got refunded and they got really nice
a little gift, a really nice little gift.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the fact that 200,000 tickets refunded. That's nuts,
Holy
bro.
Shit.
That's a lot of people. Yeah. All right, so we get some comments on Twitch. My friend Toby T, let's just look at the soccer event in Miami. That's right. Yep. I can confirm a lot of these concerts and sporting events will hire anybody for security detail with little pay. There's like a 2-week period. It's basically first come, first serve. Her security guy hires the people. I will get into that. But it's still based in the country of origin of the concert. It is and it isn't. So Taylor Swift is very proactive. I've done a lot of research on this in the past because I'm a fairly decent sized Swiftie. But yeah, I've watched so many Taylor Swift interviews over the years. Probably an unhealthy amount, but yeah, she is very good at not just being proactive within her hiring processes, but she literally gives her stamp on every hire that is made under her. So you're right, Toby T, in that she does have a security guy, probably a very highly militarized security guy would be my guess. Somebody who's either been in special forces or Secret Service or somebody with a huge resume in that scope that she trusts implicitly, I imagine. But he has to literally okay every single hire that he makes with her. and has to, give the pros of why he feels like that individual should be hired. Now, you're right also that there obviously is going to be local forces brought in as well. But those people are not allowed within the inner sphere of Taylor Swift, right?
Right.
So they're not allowed backstage. They're not allowed on stage. They're not allowed next to the stage.
It's mostly the craft.
Right, exactly. So it sounds like it was ferreted out in this case, and thank God for that. I don't know how, based on it being three people under the age of 20, I doubt she was in any major harm. Um, I doubt there's going to be a chance for them to get a large explosive into a place like that. But it could have been very much like the Boston Marathon thing where, they could have put something off or exploded something and started stabbing people and things like that. And obviously it would be a very bad look. A lot of people would have been hurt, possibly maimed, killed, etc. And obviously nobody wants that to happen at their show, right? So
absolutely not.
Yeah, thank God they found out exactly, Toby. Anyway, I'm glad that Taylor is safe. I know she's very vigilant in this, and she understands. She's a very smart girl, smart woman, and I'm glad she's safe. Go ahead,
I have
Katie.
more to comment. That's nice stuff.
Yeah, please.
Anyway, they basically ran out of necklaces, but still wanted fans to come in for a special discount. Other locations in the city were offering free food or discounted food, free museum entry, and specially themed attractions for fans. On August 8th, fans gathered in the streets for an impromptu dance party and concert of their own where they traded friendship bracelets, sang Swift songs, and kept each other company in what's been otherwise a scary time. That's pretty cool.
That is very cool. That's called going above and beyond, which Taylor does a lot, man. She does a lot of that kind of stuff. And I can promise you, this is not going to be the end of this either for her. Like, this is going to be eating at her. She will somehow put those shows on somewhere, somehow.
Yeah.
Because I just based on what I've seen from her in the past.
I'm scared shitless.
I'm sure, yeah. But I promise she probably feels awful that these people were refunded and didn't get to see the show and all of that. So, knowing what I know of her, it would not surprise me if these shows were rescheduled. Perhaps with free admission. Who knows? Who knows? Just a thought. Mm-hmm. If it's hot, she has water stations to get bottled water. So, yeah, that's a story that I wanted to talk about on the show a couple weeks ago. Like I said, I think it happened in Paris, where she was... they spent 5 figures on blankets and hydration stations outside the concert. This was for non-paying attendees, by the way. That's very important that you guys understand that Taylor and her concert organizers were making sure that non-paying concert attendees were taken care of, both in a health-wise and just keeping them cool during very, very high temperatures. Most artists are going to go out there and try to shoo them off. And I only know this because I've frickin' seen it myself, okay? Yes, I have been shooed off, okay? I've been shooed off. But yeah, just cool stuff. I'm glad she's safe. But that is our main topic this week. I do again want to thank HyperX for sponsoring this episode, as they sponsor all episodes. I do also want to point you guys to the email, which is right there above my head, thechrisandkadieshow@gmail.com. If you have any comments, suggestions, concerns, questions, all of the above, please email us. We would love to have topics from you guys that you'd like to hear. If you have questions for me or Katie on the show, you can also do that. And also, we're going to be live on Twitch for most of these shows. Not all, but most. So you guys will be able to interact with us in real time at twitch.tv/The Boston Chris Show. Also, I am really excited to announce a future segment that will start next week. And are we going to call it what I said earlier, Katie? Is that what we're going to call it?
Sure.
It's going to be called Katie's Corner.
It's
And
gonna
it's
be called Katie's Bitch Fit.
Katie's Bitch Fit.
No,
Ooh.
that does got a good ring to it though.
It kind of does. I don't think we could. I don't think we could get that sponsored though.
No, I know, but I was good off the fly.
We're gonna call it Katie's Corner. It's simply gonna be a quick or not quick. It's completely up to the young lady to my right, your right, my left. Yeah, she's gonna have a weekly blog here on the show where she can talk about anything she wants, whether it's how her week went, if she has a something that caught her eye that she wants to talk about by herself. That's going to be her time and her segment every single week. It's going to be called Katie's Corner. So y'all make sure you're tuning in for that. That segment will also go out on our channels completely separate as well. We have the whole episode, and then we have clips for each comment and segment that we put out by themselves. That way you guys can consume the content however you want. And now you guys can consume it live as well. So cool stuff. Toby T says he loves the AC/DC shirt, Katie.
Thanks. It's a lot cooler than what you can see.
That is badass.
It's like a 3X, so I wear it with like leggings.
Mm-hmm.
But it's cool. I like it. I like it a lot. I got it for free. I don't remember from who or from where or what, but I didn't pay for it.
So for those of you that are watching live, I want you guys to know that Katie, you can follow her everywhere. She's got a website. It's called katielynn.com. Go over there. You can get all of her music. She has merch. She has purchasable music. You can find out where to stream her music at. You can find out where her shows are if you happen to be local in the DFW area. Arlington, all of that. She plays very, very frequently around there. She does have a YouTube. I do not think she has a Twitch. Perhaps, maybe someday she will. So
That'd be fun.
The YouTube, I believe, is just search Kadie Lynn and you'll find it on there.
And it may or may not be stagnant, but there's a lot of content on there.
Yeah, there is lots and lots of content. Katie has been performing and writing music since she was knee-high to a grasshopper. What,
wee lad.
3 or 4, right, when you started?
Yeah.
Yeah, so almost 20 years. Yeah. Crazy. 20-year veteran almost, and you're not even 25 years old yet. That's nutso.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about singing, but when I teach like guitar and stuff, I'm like, I've been playing guitar for like 13 years.
Oh, and speaking of shows, I know this podcast will come out after this show completes, but for those of you who are live, and maybe you are from Texas as well, just found out today that you're doing another song swap with Ryan.
I was going to tell you after the show, yeah.
Yeah, on Friday, the 16th, in Lindale at a restaurant called Brisket Love.
Isn't that the one we were talking about?
I think so, yeah.
I think so, too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
So, if Katie doesn't cancel that show...
Stop it. Stop it.
Maybe we'll show up, is what I'm saying.
Okay. I'll let you know when I get there, just to let you know.
Well, I'm hoping that we'll be on our way, perhaps. Brisket Love sounds great. I love brisket. Yes, I know. We all love brisket. Speaking of loving brisket, you guys don't know about this yet. Well, Fubar does because he's a member on the YouTube. But one of our segments for last week's episode, which is actually this week's episode. This is so weird when we go live, right?
I know.
Because, like, we're live with number 15, but number 14 doesn't come out until Friday. And on number 14, we had Ryan Savallo as our guest. And and our top 5 segment was for our favorite barbecue foods. So it's funny you guys talk about brisket. All 3 of us had brisket on our list, by the way. Yeah. So, right, we're not going to talk about food though because I'm hungry.
That's for Friday for y'all to see.
Yeah, but I'm hoping that we can get, because my mom has been wanting to see you for a long time. It's been a long time since she hugged your neck, and so I told her about Friday, and she was like, "Oh yeah, we're going, absolutely." So I was like, Katie will probably just cancel and forget to tell us.
I
think what I'm gonna do.
I was playing Faber.
I think what I'm gonna do is every time you have a show near us, I'm gonna make you RSVP. And just be like, okay, look, you can't cancel, you RSVP'd.
You ass.
Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in to another awesome episode of the Chris and Kadie Show, number 15. You still having fun with this? 15 weeks. Actually, 16 if you think about it.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
4 months. Has it been 4 months already? It has.
So.
Oh my God, it has.
Shit.
Wow, that's nutso, man. Nutso. All right, well, yeah, thank you guys for watching. All of our links are in the description below. It's very important, you guys, if you see any of our content out there, share it. The best thing you guys can do to help us grow is just by sharing the content. I know consuming it and watching it and liking it is really important too, but we can't grow if you guys don't show it to other people. So share, please.